Hey, what's going on, Cashflow Hackers? It is Chris with Life 180, and for this video, I'm going to be talking to you about New Year's resolutions for 2022 around your personal finances. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever done a Google search on the most popular New Year's resolutions, but the most common New Year's resolutions revolve around people's fitness and their health, right? I want to lose weight, I want to be healthier, I want to get more fit. I want to hit the gym all the time. That's why gym memberships go through the roof at this time of year. But right behind personal fitness and health resides the topic of personal finances. I think when we look around the world, 95% of the people are not getting the results they want with their money. And so it gets to this time of the year, we start to think about what we want this next year to look like. We start to think about trying to achieve our goals. It's another year gone by. The reality is, January 1st is just another day on the calendar, but it feels monumentous, right? It feels like the turning of a page to a new calendar, to something else going on. And so what I am doing for this video is putting a list together of what I think the top 10 resolutions should be. This is not what the top 10 resolutions that are being made. This is kind of an order of importance, so to speak, of what I think people should be doing, with the idea of, and I'm going to put this big caveat out there, if your objective is hitting financial freedom, meaning you want to have complete financial freedom as quickly as possible in your life, this is kind of an order of operations on how to get there. And I'm going to give a little bullet point about each one. Ultimately, what you need to do to kind of execute on that, right? So let's get into this. So the first resolution, I should say, that people need to make is making a budget. Now, I'm a big believer that every single person in the world should live and operate with a budget. Now, I'm not a big believer in living with a scarcity mindset and scrimping back and cutting back and all that stuff. I've done plenty of videos on that, but the bottom line is, I think we all need to be intentional about what we're doing. We need to have clarity on where our money is going, the money that we have coming in, where our expenditures are. How much are we saving? What are we saving for? What is the intent and the purpose? What is the intention, right? Life 180, living intentionally for excellence. 180 is about turning our financial lives around, right? So when we look at the world around us and 95% of the people are not where they want to be with their money, it's because most people are not being intentional with their money, and you can't achieve a goal that you have no clarity about. And one of the things that I know is anything measured improves, right? And so a budget is simply you measuring, right, what's going on in your life. And I don't care who you are, where you are, I promise you, you can start off with this budget, and by the end of the year, your life's going to change enough, especially if you execute in a lot of these other ways. But if you execute, your life is going to look different. Things are going to happen. You're going to take on more expenses. You're going to do things. You're going to get a little off budget. But if you just try to create this budget and execute on it, it will get you to the next level, right? And every year, next year at this time, I encourage you, no matter what, even if this isn't your end-all be-all resolution, I 100% encourage every single person, and I'm doing this for myself. I do this every year. I go through early in the year and I remake my budget. And I make sure that what's going on, I have clarity about my inflows of cash, my outflows of cash, what's going on. I can tighten things up because, listen, I go out and I'm like everybody else. I go out and I get these little subscriptions here and there, and I look and I go back 6 months. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't used that at all. And so do that, clean that up, make sure you're operating efficiently, and kind of go from there. So the second resolution that I think is really, really important, I think this is a really common one that people do, is eliminating high interest debt. This is your credit card debt. This is the toxic debt. Maybe it's a high interest car loan because you didn't have a great credit score. Doing anything you can do to eliminate toxic debt is going to go a long ways. And I think that's one of the foundational actions that people need to take, I guess is the way to put it, because here's the bottom line. So many people are thinking about, I want to save, I want to invest, I want to do all these things. Well, it doesn't make any sense for you to invest when you're looking to earn 6 to 8% when you're paying 18% on a credit card, right? That's totally financially inefficient when you do that, right? We're talking about financial efficiency, setting you up for financial freedom as quickly as possible. And the only way you reach financial freedom in the fastest way possible is to be as efficient as possible. And that's where you have to eliminate your high interest debt. And once again, the budget will lead you to help have clarity around what does that look like, right? And so that's number 2. Number 3 kind of is a byproduct of number two, is improving your credit score. Listen, your credit score is leverage. The better that you have of a credit score, the more leverage you have, the more access to capital, cheap money that you have in this world. We live in the lowest interest rate environment in the history of this country right now, right? The federal funds rate has been at 0 to 0.5% for over a decade now. And mortgage rates are at all-time lows. Credit card rates are, well, I mean, that's toxic debt, but you can get business loans, you can get all these other things super low, right? And so if you have a high credit score, you can have access to that money easier, right? Like it's just important to understand. So getting your credit score is leverage, and it can help you. A high credit score can actually help you create wealth. So it's really important. So that's number three. Number four is build an emergency fund. You want to make sure that you have enough money in case of an emergency, in case you lose your job, in case of financial correction, in case of a big market correction, right? You want to make sure that you have an emergency fund. Now, how much should you save? I'm a big believer you want to get to 1 month first, right? Like have benchmarks, right? Like try to get to the benchmarks. But then I'm a believer that you need to get to a year of income in an emergency fund. Listen, I know that sounds like a big number, but if you go to the U.S. Department of Labor website, they will tell you that the average time it takes to get a job right now, if you lose your job, is about 1 month for every $10,000 of income. So if you make 100 grand a year, you want to take whatever your income is and divide it by 10, and that's the number that you need minimally for an emergency fund. Because I know a lot of people tell you to take your expenses and get 6 months of expenses. But the bottom line is when you're not working during that time, you don't just want your expenses, because like if you're saving, if you're doing all this stuff, you want to make sure that your lifestyle isn't going to have to take a huge step backwards. Because when you do, trust me, I'm married, I got 3 kids. If you have to take a big step backwards for your lifestyle when you lose your job and maybe you're trying to launch a new business, maybe you're trying to do something else, that requires capital like that as you're going through a transition, you don't want to have to tell your wife or your husband that, listen, because of my decisions, we got to take a step backwards on our lifestyle. We can't go out to dinner. We can't do this. We can't do that. Maybe if you guys get together and that's what you decide to do as a team, fantastic. But I'm a big believer you got to be planning in such a way that it's your income that you're preparing for, not just your expenses, because it's just short-sighted to not do that. So that's number 4. Number 5 is building an opportunity fund. Now, I'm a big believer, once again, once you have your emergency fund, so in case of market correction, in case of a market crash for that matter, you will be protected with the emergency fund. The opportunity fund is taking it the next step. You want to have money in a location where you have liquidity, use, and control of it, because when the market goes down, having access to capital is huge. Now, a lot of people think that you have a home equity line of credit, you have some kind of credit like that, and you're going to leverage that. But the bottom line is, and the reality is, when the market corrects, credit lines dry up, the credit markets dry up, and you may have your credit line shut down. I mean, Wells Fargo did that on a lot of people when COVID happened. They shut down lines of credit all over the place. People thought they were going to have access to that capital to be able to take advantage of certain situations, and they weren't able to, right? So that's just one example. So building an opportunity fund for yourself is simply saying you're saving money in a place that you have access to it. You want that to be guaranteed. You want it to be accessible, liquid, and you want it to beat inflation. But the bottom line is it's opportunistic saving. You're saving not because you're trying to be overly conservative. You're saving because of the fact that you're looking to save with the intent of investing that money opportunistically, right? So that's important to understand. That's number 5. Number 6, increase your income. Listen, earning power is important, right? Too many people are so concerned about what rate of return am I going to get in my investments? What can I do to go out there and get a better rate of return? Only in personal finance do we tell people that the way that you're going to be successful is to go out and chase a higher rate of return. Because if you understand how personal finances work and how investing works, going after a higher rate of return simply means you have to take on more risk. That's all there is to it. And only in the personal finance space do we tell people that we're going to increase your chance of success by increasing your chance of failure, because that's what risk is increasing your chance of failure. So when you really think about that, it's just, and you really analyze it and understand it, and you kind of turn on its head, you understand that it's just a backwards way of thinking and it just doesn't work. So what you can do though is increase your income, increase your earning power, right? Maybe you're learning a skill, maybe you're doing something that's going to help you earn more money. Maybe it's gonna help you with a side hustle. Maybe it's going to help you earn more money at your job. But the bottom line is whatever you can do to increase your earning power is ultimately going to, well, let's put it this way. If you can take a $50,000 income and you could just do a side hustle earning an extra $5,000 a year and you save that money, that's the equivalent of taking a $100,000 investment and earning 5% on it with no risk, right? So you can do that, and you want to make sure you take that extra earning power and you save it, right? You don't go into lifestyle with it, you save it, you compound that growth, and you go from there. And when you do that, and that gets into number 7, so that was number 6, increasing your income or earning power. Number 7 is save more money, create a forced savings plan. So as we do earn that, we get into that position where we're saving more money, we're putting that money to work for us, we're implementing and taking part in the concept of compounding interest, right? Compounded interest, Albert Einstein said, is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it, right? So it's a big thing to understand is how compound interest works. And when you earn more and you put yourself in that position, don't have it go to lifestyle, have it go into savings, put yourself in a forced savings plan and let that compound, let it work for you. So that's number 7. Number 8 is get your first rental property. I'm a big believer in cash flow investing. Buying turnkey cash flow rental properties, I think, is one of the best investments possible. Maybe you're in a position to get there, maybe you're not, depending on how many, what you have for assets, how much money you have saved, where you're starting from, what your income is, how quickly you can get there, the function of all the things above, what's your credit score, all these different things. Really important. I think everybody, if you want to reach financial freedom, listen, 90% of millionaires in this country, in the United States, are millionaires because of real estate, or at least have a significant portion of real estate in their portfolios. It's not an accident. So if you want to become wealthy, you got to do what the wealthy do, and the wealthy participate in real estate, right? That just is what it is. Number 9, get involved in crypto assets, like buy, understand blockchain technology, understand cryptocurrencies, buy some cryptocurrency. I'm a big believer. If you've watched this, I've done watched my channel. I've done a lot of videos on gold, cryptocurrency, stuff like that. Gold and silver, I'm going to just throw this little side thing in. If you want to buy it, it's a great hedge against the dollar. I look at gold and silver as an insurance plan because it's a hard asset, as a to protect you against the devaluation of the US dollar, right? And so that's really, I think everybody should have a little of that. Cryptocurrency does the same thing gold and silver do because the supply is limited, but the difference with cryptocurrency is it's also disruptive. It's also adding value and changing the way that financial markets are thinking about how they're going to operate in the future. And if you can get ahead of this, if you can invest in the path of progress, which is what's going on, then it's a really huge opportunity. So I'm a big believer 2022 is a huge year to get involved in crypto because we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg of where this stuff with cryptocurrencies are going to go. Any financial advisor that tells you anything different, I think is crazy, and they're just limited, and they're probably drinking the Kool-Aid of their own company, and maybe they're not educated on it enough. I don't know, but the bottom line is be careful about what cryptocurrencies you buy. Make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure you do the education. I personally don't think you can go wrong with Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin and just kind of like the old guard coins, so to speak, that are more stable, we'll call it, right? Like from that perspective, they have a bit better of foundation, a bit of a better community surrounding them. Some of these newer coins, there's a lot of risk that goes along with it. So just make sure that you do your due diligence and find the coins that make sense to you. And so number 10 is prepare for a market correction, period. I'm a big believer. 2022 could be the year. We've been in the longest bull run in the stock market, in the real estate market, that we've seen since the Great Depression, period. That's what's going on right now. So with that said, we are due for a correction. Will it happen in 2022? Nobody knows. but I'm a big believer that whatever you do, however you set your money up, however you build your finances, if you do this in the order, if you think about all these different things, if you resolve to execute on each one of these a little bit or some in sequential order, you will put yourself in a position where you are prepared to take advantage of a market correction, whether it's in 2022 or 2023. The more you can do to get ahead of this before it happens, the more you're going to be prepared from the opportunity when the market correction happens. Because it's not if, it's when. And the question is, how are you going to be positioned when that happens? So that is my list of the top 10 New Year's resolutions for 2022. And that's it. I hope you found value in it. I hope you resonate with it. I hope you think on it. I hope you're intentional. And guess what? I hope you have an amazing year. I hope you resolve to hit those goals. And like I said at the beginning of this, if you are around later this afternoon, I've got a video coming out that's going to talk to you about how to execute on all these, like a process that you can put in place to make sure that you're executing on all of your financial resolutions, or maybe executing on some of all of these. Listen, your resolution doesn't have to just be one of these things. Maybe it's just one of them, depending on where you are. Maybe it's all of them. But that's it. Have a blessed, inspirational year. Welcome to 2022, everybody. Talk soon. See ya.